Hi Flosstube. I'm Audrey Marine, and this is episode 13. I can't believe I went to the gym this morning, and on my way home I was thinking about how I have to, to shower and change everything and record my next video. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's going to be video 13. And then I was doing the math, and I think it's only going to be a few more videos, because I do these about every 3 weeks. It's going to be a few more videos until it's been 1 year that I've been doing these videos. So it's funny to think about, because when I did the first one, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do a second one. I wasn't even sure I was going to do the first one. And now here we are, months later. So this is my 13th video, lucky number 13. And I am just returned from the attic, and a very exciting weekend there. Today is January 20th, 2024. So I hope you guys had a fabulous end to your 2023, and if not, it's a new year, right? That's what we say. So I don't know if I have told you guys this story before, but in 2020, the very first day of 2020, January 1st, Ryan and I took the kids out, and we went to, we were going to go out to lunch, and then we were going to go to the car show in Indianapolis. And we went to what we call Chipanda. There's a Chipotle and a Panda Express right next to each other. And Morris and I really like Panda, and Ryan and Rupert really like Chipotle. So Ryan and Rupert go to Chipotle, and then they meet us at Panda, and so we have Chipanda. So, Morris and I go, and we're standing in line, and we get our orange chicken and stuff. And then Ryan and Rupert are like flying over, because they just walk across the parking lot. But they were running, and I was like, what is going on? And they come over, and they're like, we got a free lunch. We were the first customers of 2020. And it was like, oh, that's so cool. And then we went to the car show, and we were standing in line waiting to get tickets to pay for entry. And there was a woman who was like, oh, we unexpectedly have to go. We have 4 tickets. Do you guys want them? And we're like, oh my gosh, 4 free tickets to the car show. So it was like, we got half of our lunches for free, and then we got free entry into the car show. We're like, 2020 is going to be great. And then it happened. So you think you have a really great start to the year, and that's going to be indicative of how the rest of the year is going to go. But it's not always the case. So all that being said, I do hope you guys have had a good start to your 2024. I feel like I have, but I also feel like it's already blowing by. I mean, it's already January 20th. So, and if I keep rambling on like this hour is going to be 3 hours, or this video is going to be 3 hours. So let's get to it. I have stuff that I purchased from the attic, stuff that I was given at the attic, but I want to show you guys progress that I've made on a few different projects, and then talk about plans. So I know that you probably have already seen some videos put out by people who attended the same retreat that I did, Sampler Symposium. And so you'll have seen a lot of what we were all given. And you can also check one of the previous attic newsletters to see what, because before we even showed up, we knew the projects we were going to be given. So if you're really interested in seeing what you could have gotten had you gone to Sampler Symposium, you can check out that information. Just go to the Attic Needlework website, and you can find past issues of their newsletter, and you can go through all that, and then maybe it'll get you excited to go next year. I definitely want to go next year. I think the timing works out well, because Ryan has a lot of downtime, although it's funny because it happened that he and I, with our downtime in the motorsports off season, we were supposed to go to Hawaii. That didn't work out. He got a gig in Mexico City, and so then I was like, well, I want to go to the attic. So I got to do that. And he had a less fun weekend than I did, and I'm not sorry. I mean, I had a great weekend. I wish his weekend would have been better on this job in Mexico City, but it seemed like he got good feedback from his supervisors, so he's feeling good about it and feeling relieved. But at the time he got done, and I'm like, I don't think it went well, and I was like, it's the first race of this season. So anyway, so let's get into it. I don't even know where to begin. I kind of want to show you progress on some things, and then I can get this pile here out of the way, and then we can get into what I was given, some extra goodies, and things that I purchased, and things that I'm excited to get going on. So let me show you Hannah Campbell. if you're not sick of her. Let me show you the chart. This is Hannah. Hannah Campbell is the first hats chart that I purchased. And at one point I was working on this while there in the big ballroom that they held the event in, and Nicola Parkman of Hands Across the Sea had come over to talk to Brenda. Oh, okay, so I had the good fortune of being sat at the cool kids table. So nobody knew who the hell I was, but people would come over and talk to Brenda, who was on my right, or talk to Katie, who was on my left, or Grace, or Susan, or Ruth, or whatever, because, you know, they're all seasoned and well known. So I was just sitting there stitching and listening to all this happen around me. It was pretty fun. So Nicola comes over at various points, but at one time she came over to talk to Brenda about something, and then she saw that I was working on Hannah Campbell, and she kind of popped over and she gave me a compliment, which I told Brian, it was like about made me fall out of my chair. It's like, but then also Kathleen Littleton of Cross Stitch Antiques, and I'll show you one of the projects that we were given. She did a whole presentation on Irish samplers. So she had come over at one point to talk to Brenda, and she saw that I was working on Hannah, and she's like, oh, I see you're working on an Irish sampler. I was like, yes, I am. Like, I planned it. But it was like, I felt like teacher's pet. It was great. So this is Hannah. If you watched my previous video, you'll think there's no progress made. But actually, I finished these letters here. I got that done. So this medallion, this center piece right here is done. And then while I was there, I didn't work on the eyelets at all, but I got Ballet Pilati done, her town, and then I got some of the border done here. So I want to bring this down, and then I think I can, you know, in the next week or so, finish the eyelets, finish this alphabet here, and then there's going to be a date here. It's August 12th, 1838. Yeah, and then I feel like once I cross the 50% mark, I think I'm going to feel really good about it. I'm just going to keep on going. Yeah, I mean, I was working on this there, and you see I've still got like needle and thread hanging. I have one thread hanging out of the eyelets because that's just how I do it. I keep it going until I run out of thread. But this one, it was like, clearly had just stopped in the middle for conversation or something. So I need to get back to her. But I do feel good about that. And you know, I was talking to Grace Paisley Stitcher. She was at my table. More like I was at her table. And she was asking me how I like the legacy linen, and I told her about how when I first got it, I just hated it. I was like, oh my gosh, this weave is so tight and the fibers are so wide that it's difficult to find the holes. And I know that it means that it's really pretty and you get this really thick, full finish. I said, but oh, it was just so frustrating. Then I stepped away from it, did some other things, and went back to it, and now I love it. And she's like, yeah. So she got it. And I ended up purchasing a couple more pieces of legacy linen, which I meant to do on the first day when I got there. Well, I got there on Thursday. There was no shopping there. I got there late. Just went up to my room, texted Brenda that I was there. Like, I survived, but didn't do anything that night. And then Friday morning, Brenda and Katie and I went to the attic. And they took pictures of me, like, first going in, holding the, grabbing onto the door handle. So if you haven't seen that picture on Katie's Trackin's Instagram, it's really funny. She texted it to me. I'm gonna insert it here, or maybe I'll just insert a bunch of photos at the end of this video or something. But it was really fun. And so Friday when I went, I was basically there all day at the shop because I went, we were there for a couple hours, and then Brenda was like, Audrey, we're going to lunch. And so we went to lunch, and then I went back. Pretty much everybody like stepped in the door and then kind of went back to the hotel. I was there until closing. And I didn't buy any legacy fabric. I had forgotten. I bought some other things. So, and I hadn't planned on going back to the shop on Saturday, but I'm glad that I did because I got the legacy fabric that, I meant to get a couple more pieces, not necessarily with any specific color in mind, but I got a couple more pieces. And then, threw some other stuff in I say in my cart. It wasn't really a cart, just, like I buy this? It was so fun. It was so fun. And, you know, I think you think about going to an event like this and it's like, oh, well, you get to sit in these classes and you get to listen to these lectures by these people who know what they're talking about, right? Then you get to go shop at this wonderful store. But what really makes it fun is just all the laughing and just all the fun conversation and everything. You don't even have to talk about anything but stitching. I mean, you talk about other stuff, but it always comes around to stitching, and it's just so fun, and everybody's just sharing their projects, and you know, even if it's just pictures on their phone of things that are at home, but maybe they brought things. And I mean, I laughed a lot this past weekend, I should say. And yeah, Ryan called me at one point. It was Saturday night. He's still in Mexico City. And he's like, I still have to go out to dinner. And then there's an after party that I'm supposed to go to. And I'm like, sucks to be you. I'm having a great time. I mean, I felt a little bad, but I had such a good time. And I did stay up later than I normally would have, of course, because we're in Tempe Mesa, Phoenix area, and it's 2 hours difference. And yet I still woke up at 5:30 every morning, because that's 7:30 at home for me. So my body's like, oh, 7:30, time to wake up. So I'm lying in bed every morning. It's 5:30, the microwave says. And I was like, okay, what episode of The Twilight Zone is going to be on the Sci-Fi Network now? Oh my goodness. It was so fun. Oh, and then eventually, you know, you go downstairs and get breakfast and stuff. I feel like I'm telling you this stuff all out of order, but, you know, it's all train of thought, stream of consciousness stuff. Okay, we're going to get to that in a little bit. Okay, so I showed you Hannah Campbell. And then, as I mentioned last video, I am working on Carmel. I purchased this shortly after it was released, which I think was last August by Hands Across the Sea. And this is all one color. It's all red. Suggested color is 664 in 103 or 2924 in Soie d'Alger. DMC is 304. But I think you could do like DMC 666 even. That's Morris's favorite color. And I got him this sticker that says Stitching Devil. I think that's what it says. And it's like a bobbin of red thread and it says 666 on it. He thought this was funny. And then I got Rupert a sticker that says Thread Chicken, because the little bit of cross stitching he's done, he insists on playing Thread Chicken. It's ridiculous. So my idea for this one was, because some people have projects that they put a length of thread per day in. And I thought, well, I want to do that, something like that, but I think an hour a day would work better for me. So from Christmas Eve, I started it on Christmas Eve, to today, I have put in an hour a day, except there were a couple days that I missed, but I actually decided to catch up and put those hours in so that when I look at a calendar, when the day that I finish this, I can just count back to Christmas Eve and know that for every day since Christmas Eve, there is 1 hour of work put into this. So this is what I have so far. This is 56 count old mushroom, and I'm sorry it's not ironed. I'm usually pretty good about that, but not today. 56 count old mushroom by XJew, and I did use the called for color, but I'm using the Swazerfine. And I really like this. I just love all the different alphabets in it. All the different patterns. I kind of worked my way down on the left side so that I could get to different alphabets. I didn't just want to do that whole alphabet and then do this whole row and then do this whole alphabet, because I have another project that I'm working on that's kind of going to be like that necessarily. Besides, I'm really excited about this chicken. I want to get down to this guy and stitch him. I really like this pattern. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And actually there was a woman at a neighboring table who was admiring it, and she's like, Audrey, what color is that? And so I told her, and then actually in one of our kits from the event, we got that color. She's like, Audrey, look. I was like, yay, you got it. You're all set now. So she was very nice. Her name was Sarah, and she came all the way from England. And she's actually going to be at the Hobby House retreat that I'm going to in October. So I'm excited to see her again. She's very nice. So I have quite a bit of progress on Carmel. I mean, let's see. I have almost this whole alphabet done. Probably half of this. Quite a bit of this. Some of this. So I think I'm not a quarter of the way, but I'm getting there. And like I said, I only just started it on Christmas Eve, which was not even a month ago. So I feel like that's pretty good. And it's in this super cute penny and tunny bag. It's it feels nice, it's padded, and I love this fabric. It's like a Valentine-y fabric, but I love Valentine's Day and all things red. So, and I thought I should put a red sampler in there. This one, now I want to share this with you guys, and hope that you will join me and Laura in our hashtag Marie Louise Puree Sal. That's S-A-L. We're doing a stitch along, Laura and I. She sent me like 14 options. She was like, I want to do a stitch along with you 2024. So she sent me a bunch of options. I only had a few of the charts, and then for even just a couple of those did I have the threads. And I said, well, what about Marie Louise? Because she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rows, very, distinct rows. So we could do 1 row a month and then some border. And Laura finished her January segment. She finished this first row, and I think she said she finished the entire top border already, which is ahead. She's ahead of the game, because really you would only have to do like a third of one side of a border, right? Yeah. So she's ahead of the game, and she finished that over a week ago. So yay, Laura. I think she will be showing that on her next video with Brenda. So if you want to join us, you can, even if you're not on Instagram, if you're watching this video and you want to join along, join us, and then leave comments like, I finished January, I finished February. And even if you don't see this video until March or April or August or December, whatever, just, pull it out if you have the chart. It's really a lovely design, a really beautiful chart. I decided not to go with the called for fabric, which is marbled khaki. I love that fabric. But when I pulled the threads and kind of laid them out, I thought, I think I'd actually prefer, these are the colors. And so I opted for Gold Sand, I believe it is, by XJew. And look at this. I'm gonna get my fabric in check here. So this is the first row, and then almost half of one side of border, right? And even though it's ending on R, that is the full row. This is where it ends, because the last little bit of the alphabet is on the next row with a little bit of a design on either side of the letters. So yeah, I finished this before I left for the attic. I finished that segment, and put her away. Put everything together in my bag here, and stuck it in a drawer, because I thought, what? I kind of think of it, even though it's a WIP, it will be an ongoing WIP, work in progress throughout the year. I thought, well, actually I want to kind of treat it as 12 different projects. So when I finish the first segment, I'm just gonna mark it off my list, because in my date book, on the left-hand side of the full month calendar page, I have all my WIPs going. And so, I'm putting, MLP January, done. So I have this cute little bag for the floss, and then all of that goes together in the larger matching bag. This is also from Penny and Tunny. I love the ephemera antique items. I just love this fabric. It's one of those things, like you see fabric, and I had seen that fabric before. I think it's a Kathy Holden fabric. I was like, I don't quilt, but I want it. I need something made out of that fabric. So Penny and Tunny, they make great bags. Okay, another long. It's going to be a year-long ongoing project for me. In my berry bag. So my husband actually bought this. Go him. And thank you, Barry, for accommodating him and getting that order done. And he didn't know what he was buying. He was like, I thought a project bag would be like full of projects. I was like, no, you put your own projects in there. Okay. So I mentioned last time that I had been watching Alba Stitcher, Amanda. She's in Scotland, and she, all of last year, was working on a 12-part series of monthly Quakers by Wendy from the Heart Needle Art. And while I said that I didn't want to stitch those over the course of 12 months, I liked the idea of doing a monthly. But I opted for this. I had been looking at this for quite a while. Even before I was stitching on linen, I had found this on 1, 2, 3 Stitch. And I was like, oh, I really love it. Can I ever stitch on linen? And then I started stitching on linen and was like, yeah, I can totally do it. So this is a pattern with 12 flower vases. And then there is a poem in French that runs throughout it. And the called for are Gloriana silks. No. Oh, are they magical? They're magical. So I'm working on this, and I started stitching with Gloriana, and they were so beautiful when they were all twisted when you first get them. But of course I had to, I had to take them out. I had to cut the lengths and put them on floss drops and stuff. These little floss drops are from Charlie Feathers, CHARLY Feathers. You can find her on Instagram, and then you'll be able to find her Ko-Fi or Coffee or whatever the hell you want to call it. And you can purchase from her. And even shipping from England, it wasn't bad at all. I bought 2 sets, and I love them. I love them. And it's just another thing that makes the whole thing that much cuter. And even though I'm 35, I still like my cute little toys. And I was at my mom's visiting her for Christmas, and I got in, it was like a long drive, dumped my stuff down, sit down on the couch, and I was like, oh, Lisa Frank notebooks. She was like, yeah, I found those. Do you want them? And I was like, yes, I do. I love Lisa Frank notebooks. It's one of those things, like, Lisa Frank was ubiquitous when I was a kid, and every girl had Lisa Frank stuff. And I had my favorite, Lisa Frank characters, and so she found these, and they were unused. I was like, oh my God, I must have been hoarding them for 35-year-old me. So I put them in my purse. But it's just another one of those things that makes the whole, it makes your project that much more fun. You're pulling out this beautiful ring of silk, and yes, you take them out and you just want to pet him. Gloriana, I had no idea. I mean, silks feel nice. They feel different than cottons, they do. But these ones they're spectacular. And the colors, and I used all the called for colors for this project, and it's fabulous. Now, for Gloriana, for Soie d'Alger, for cotton, whatever, you would use 40 count or lower, like a 36 or 32. Well, I had this piece of 46 count silica. Is that what it is? Oh, here's the tag. Oh, yeah, 46 count silica. And this is from number 12 Stitch Co. I'd say number 12 Stitch Co. and XJU are probably my favorite fabric dyers. They use Weigart bases, and their colors are fantastic. So the silica, I'm going to try to just show you the fabric just on its own. It's got kind of a pinkish tone to it. It's showing up more taupe, tan here, but it does have kind of a pinkish tone, which with these colors, we've got a lot of pinks and purples and browns, I thought would be very nice. I liked it. I tried a few different things. I even have, I think it's Ice Rose by Nicola from number 12 Stitch Co. And I thought the colors worked on it, but the pink was pink. And I didn't want anything. I think that's gonna be better for like smalls, even like Christmas ornaments or something. I didn't know if I wanted like such a large piece on this like bright, it's like kind of a babyish, but kind of a brightish pink color. It's almost like this color. It was like pink fabric. So it's beautiful. I bought it. I love it, but I think it's gonna be for smalls. So I'll show you the pattern one more time. Here it is. And so I started with Janvier. And this is what I have. Now, full disclosure, when I ordered my Gloriana, I could not get Mary's Mauve, which is what this lighter pink shade around this flower is supposed to be. So I went with something else in the pack, something that will be used in this design, but that was close, just because I was impatient. I ended up getting a skein of Mary's Mauve when I was at the attic. I remember to buy that. But I wasn't gonna, you know, frog this and restitch it. I think it looks just fine. Now you'll notice that I did not stitch the words yet. It says Janvier, de glace fait le point, and then it'll go to février next. I didn't stitch that yet because you'll see that Janvier, these letters are full crosses, capital letters, and then the rest of the text, these are small over 1 italicized. And I would actually like to stitch the names of the months just as small, in italics, like that. But I can't figure out how to place them. And then another thing, when I bought this, I bought it, I love it, it's beautiful. But when I bought it, I found that it was hard for me to follow the words, like where are we going, right? So I'm trying to decide now where to start things. Do I want it like to organically meander throughout the vases, or do I just want to like put the text in between? I even had this thought to do like a sideways and under, a sideways, and then like go around. So I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I haven't quite figured that out. So what I decided to do, I'm leaving the January vase here, and then I'm going to stitch the February vase, and then I'm going to stitch the March vase. And after March, I will have a sense of what my, you know, how much room I have in between everything and where I might be able to put those lines. So it's like Janvier is not done, but it's done. It's done. It's as done as it can be at this point. Now, I am one who likes to stitch, I think it's, there are a few different ways when you're stitching cross stitch, like in a row or a large block of the same color. And I stitch in the Danish style. I go all one way and then I go all the you know, back the other way. I don't do individual X's in the English style. I don't like that. I find that my stitches are neater when I do a row and then come back. But with the Gloriana being so variegated, I mean, this outline here around these petals, that's all one length of thread. And yet you have purple, magenta, lavender, green, blue, that's all one thread. So I found that I really did have to think about, I had to put my X's in fully and individually, and then I had to think about where I was going, because yeah, I could outline a petal, but then I had to get to the next petal. So did I kind of want to go like this and like this, or did I want to do it fully and then try to get, you know, anyway. So as you're stitching something like this with highly variegated thread, yeah, you could just do this thing, but I think you're not really gonna get the breadth of color that you're supposed to get from the variegation here. I think it matters less when a thread is like all greens or all pinks or something. I mean, for instance, this light pink here that I used around this flower, there were a few times where I could do like a few stitches back and forth, right? I didn't have to do every single one individually. But for the highly variegated stuff, I absolutely did. Yeah, but I love it. I love this. I love this. And I got to the end of that vase pretty quickly, actually. In just a few days. And I was like, oh, well, now I have to wait until February to do the next one. So it's gotten to the, I love these Gloriana silks so much that I think I need I need another project going with Gloriana Silks so that I can do it whenever I want, you know. And of course, like if I really wanted to, I could just sit down and work on this as much as I wanted. But I kind of like the idea of like, let's enjoy it for a year. Let's drag it out. But let's enjoy it for a year. And that way, I mean, I know that it's going to be done at the end of this year. So that's good. Definitely have an end date. It'll probably be done like December 4th or something. And then even still throughout the year, I will have all this time to stitch other things. So that is one project I am very excited about. I love it. I love Gloriana. And I've been looking at other reflets de soie. Oh, I should say, I don't even think I said that. This is a reflet de soie. This is Des fleurs toute l'année, which means flowers all the year. Reflet de soie. And there's their website, but you can find them from the attic. You can find them from 123 Stitch. Your LNS might have them. Just do some Googling. And, oh, I don't even know what I was going to say. Oh, looking at other reflet de soie, but a lot of them call for soie d'Alger, which is fine. I've never used soie d'Alger, but this is soie d'Alger. It's very pretty. I just love the Gloriana variegation. So I think I need another project with Gloriana. I love them. Okay, so let me put this stuff away in this bag. It is already the 20th, but that means we've still got 11 days left in the month, so I won't be pulling this out for over a week. And same with Marie Louise. So Carmel, the red sampler that I showed you, I haven't put in my hour yet today, so I need to do that. I got up this morning and I went to the gym, and then I got Chinese food. I came home. So, okay. So I think now I do want to talk about one more thing, and then I'll get into stuff from the attic. Okay. You may have seen, what is going on with my hair? You may have seen that Nicola Parkman released a new workshop online with a PDF chart and some videos and things. It's 35 pounds on her website, and I think that translates to 40 some dollars. It's not that much. And it is a PDF of this chart. So this is Margaret Anderson, 1830, Alas That Has Gone. This was a chart that was given to attendees of a workshop at Hobby House back in October of 2022. And I did not attend that, but I kept looking on eBay, and one night it actually popped up miraculously, and I got this and all the soie d'Alger from someone who had attended the shop. She decided ultimately she was not going to stitch it, and I benefited. I got quite the deal actually, because what I paid, I would have paid more for the silks alone, let alone a chart like this, right? Because Hands Across the Sea charts are 30 bucks-ish. But if you are interested in this chart, if you've seen it, or if you have not seen it but are now falling in love with it because it's amazing, she is offering a workshop. And the reason that there is a workshop along with the PDF chart is because there are a lot of specialty stitches in here, which is good because I was so excited that I found this on eBay. But then once I started reading it, I thought, well, I can probably figure this out on my own, but I would like some help. And do I reach out to her about stitching specialty stitches when I didn't actually attend the workshop? There are satin stitches, that, which I think we all have an idea of how to do them, even if we generally avoid them. But there is some couching. There are queen stitches. What else is there? I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's a gorgeous Scottish sampler. And back to Alba Stitcher, on the 25th, which is just next week, she is starting a stitch along. It is hashtag Mighty Wee Nations Howl, and Wee is W-E-E. And so her idea is for anybody who wants to join, you just have to pick a Scottish chart anyway Scottish. You know, it can have some Scottish themes. It can be by a Scottish designer. It can be a Scottish reproduction sampler. Anything tangentially related, really, because she's doing two. She is stitching Thistle House by Plum Street Samplers, and then she's stitching this like really kind of psychedelic Highland Coo. It's like, you know, magenta and orange and got all sorts of different patterns and stuff on it. So, I don't know, it doesn't really seem to be people's favorite Pixar movie, but the kids and I, especially Morris and I, really like Brave, and he has just latched onto that accent. So now we no longer say bears, like the animal, we say bears. Anyway, so I was telling him about the Highland Coo, and he's like, oh, coo, like a brown coo. Like, yes, a brown coo, only it's not brown, it's all these different colors. So if you want to join Amanda, Alba Stitcher, you can go back and watch her latest video. I think she talks about it again. And she just put this out a couple days ago. So go and give her a watch. She's really fun to listen to just because of her accent. And she seems like really nice lady, and I like seeing her stitching and stuff. So please join her stitch along if you are interested. And I thought this was pretty perfect timing. You know, Nicola Parkman just released the workshop for this on her website. You can purchase it. And I thought if this was going to be your Scottish chart, your Scottish project that you want to do, then that's pretty perfect. So I will be starting that one. I think I'm going to start it on that day. Oh, and I should tell you that the reason why Amanda has selected January 25th is because that's Burns Night. Celebrate the Scottish poet. But in my pile, oh my God, what? In my pile of stuff from the attic, I got another Scottish sampler. So I think I might be starting two new things near the end of January. Okay, I'm just gonna start from the top down and we'll go through here. Maybe, I don't know. I think you guys would have already seen a lot of this stuff. So from Needlework Press, Vicki and Megan, it's in one booklet, but it's actually two samplers that were stitched by sisters. This is A Tale of Two Samplers, Lavinia and Sophia Peer. And speaking of coos, there's a coo. It's a cow. It's a cow. But look, there's like a snail and a horse. And over here we've got some weird birds, which I love. And the reason why we've got perforated paper is because they also gave us a chart and necessary materials to stitch this double-sided bookmark, and it takes perforated paper. And if you've never stitched on perforated paper before, it's easy. It's very easy. Don't put it in a hoop though. Okay, and then and I'm just gonna kind of go through this quickly, as I said. I think you guys have seen this from Kathleen Littleton. We got a whole booklet here on Irish samplers. And then the chart that we were gifted from her is Mary Wallace, 1847. Now, if you remember Hannah Campbell, this might look familiar to you, this alphabet style. And she did talk about this. It was very interesting. So when we were at the attic that first day, we had the option of, you know, selecting materials for one or more of the charts. You know, the charts weren't for sale. We were going to be given those throughout the event, but we should select fabric and silks for the charts or chart that we wanted. And I was considering this one. I really liked that alphabet, but the orange really turned me off. But the more I look at it, the more I like it. And the more I think I need to just stitch it, because I don't think it would take me very long and it would look very nice next to Hannah. Yeah. So I just have to decide what I'm going to use to stitch it. So got that. And then from Nicola Parkman, we got two charts. This is, she gave a really interesting presentation. She showed a lot of photos of antiques and stuff, which I love. But let me see. Sorry about the noise. I try to avoid that. I hate that noise. Take this out because I wanted to make sure I'm giving you the right information. Yes, this is Scottish, from Aberdeenshire, Scotland. There's a lot of information, which is nice. But I did get the silks for this. I got the silks for this, the 103s. And then this fabric, sorry for the bag. This is Ballet Slippers by Fox Rabbit. And I just got, you could have had it cut down, but I ended up just getting a half a yard because I thought it's such a nice neutral color. It's got a little bit of a pink tinge, pink beige, that I thought I could stitch a lot of stuff on this. And these are the silks. This is what I loved. Yeah, I'm not really a big purple fan or even blues, but I like the red pink right now. Yeah. So that's what I got. And I was looking at this chart just last night because you see it, you're like, oh, it's so pretty. I like the little red house. Look, there's a guy and a dog. But on Scottish samplers, a lot of times what they'll do is the young woman who's stitching this, she'll put the initials of members of her family. And look, there's a little red M-O because the family name is Ogston. But Mo is what we call Morris and what he calls himself, really. And it's in red, which I thought was fitting. So I need a Scottish sampler that has a little blue RU on it, but I haven't seen one. And this is the other chart we got. This is so tiny. So cute. Yeah. We've got confronting birds. We've got, I think, are those supposed to be lions? Kind of look like lions. It's got a little bit of everything. A nice little alphabet. Cute border. Eyelets. Okay. And then from Mary Cox, this is a tray. It's a wooden tray. And I would like to leave it in the bubble wrap because I'm not going to do this anytime soon. Actually, all of our materials were handed out to us on Sunday for this stuff. And Brenda leans over. She's like, you're going to have this done before your next Flosstube, aren't you? I was like, no, maybe, but no. And so this was what Mary had prepared for us. So you got materials and the tray, got materials to stitch this little sampler that sits in the bottom, and then accessories, needlebook, pin cushion, little scissor keep. Very cute. I mean, you seriously got everything you need. So I did the math and I thought, you know, it wasn't an inexpensive retreat, right? It was not. But we were fed every day. And even on Saturday when they said that they weren't feeding us dinner, they just put out like some hors d'oeuvres and stuff. I was just fine. I was just fine. I didn't even bother going anywhere to get anything else to eat. So we were fed every day. There's always like water and coffee and soft drinks available. And then we were given all of this stuff. Plus we got a $100 voucher to the store that was intended to be used on materials to kit one or more of these projects up. And I thought after all that, I think you get your money's worth. And you get to meet Jean, and you get to meet all these other wonderful stitchers. So I think it's well worth it. I mean, I don't think I'll be going more than once a year, and maybe not even once a year. Maybe this is the last time I go for a while, but if I could go to Sampler Symposium every year, oh my goodness, I would be delighted. I feel very fortunate that I got to go. I know there were a lot of people who wanted to go, and they still took 150 people. There were a lot of people there. And it was such a good time. And I said that I hadn't laughed. I mean, I laughed so much. I had such a good time. And I feel like I made friends with my table mates. I had already, kind of had never met Brenda before, but I'm friends with Laura now. And so Brenda, whether you like it or not, we're friends. And then Katie, I didn't have any kind of relationship with. But I feel like we bonded over some things. We kind of talked about horrible wedding speeches that we had to sit through and things like that, and it was really fun. But then there were like other unexpected things. So on Saturday, and then another thing though was, I think it was like the first day that I was there, Roberta Lyle from, I meant to get the book. I'll have to insert a picture here. Roberta Lyle of SABLE Stitchers, she came up and introduced herself to me, and she's like, "Hi, you're a reader, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And she gifted me a book, and it was all about needlework throughout history. And I just started reading it this morning, actually. I took it with me to the gym, so I read a little bit before my class started. And it reads like a novel, which is pretty cool. But the first thing that she's talking about is her voyage to go see the Bayeux Tapestry. And if you have watched, it was like my second or third episode or something, I had just come back from France, and I talked all about that. And so it's really interesting. You know, not only do I know what it is, but I have seen it. So Roberta introduced herself, and we had a nice conversation, and then we kind of talked a couple other times throughout the weekend. She gifted me that book, and it was very generous and very thoughtful. And but then another time, though, is on Saturday. So I went back to the attic for a second time on Saturday. And I had gone with Grace and I think Susan Stanley. We went to the shop together. And I think they had already done all the shopping that they wanted to do, but I had collected other things. And so I'm like waiting. You take your number and you like wait to be called so you can check out, because there's one register. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and I could tell that Grace was done. And I was like, "You know what, Grace? I'll just take the shuttle back to the hotel, and you can go." She's like, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, I finally get to check out, and then I call my mom because I saw that she had texted me or something. Anyway, so I'm standing outside on the sidewalk. I'm talking to my mom, like 15 minutes, and I still don't see the shuttle come. And then finally I see it, but it's like way over there, and then just takes off. And I was like, okay. And I was kind of getting a little chilly. The sun was starting to go down, and I was in the shade. And even though it was warmer there than in Indianapolis, you know, you stand outside in like 50-degree weather in the shade and with no coat, and my fingers are getting numb. I'm on the phone with my mother. And then I see this pack of ladies come out, and Roberta is among them. And then this other lady, Trisha, who I had sort of had lunch with earlier that day. You know, it's like communal. You just kind of like sit in it's not a cafeteria area, but it kind of feels like that, where you just grab a seat wherever. And so I'm on the phone with my mom, and I was like, "Hold on, Mom." She's telling me about something, and I just had to totally cut her off. And I was like, "Hold on, Mom." I said, "Hi, ladies." And I could tell by Trisha's face, she was like, "No." I was like, "Could I get a ride back to the hotel?" And she's like, "I'm so sorry, we're full up." And I was like, It's okay. On the phone with my mom still. And Trisha's like, "But I have a hatchback if you would just want to like climb in the back." And she's like kind of joking. I was like, "Okay." So she's like, "Okay." Because it was seriously 2 miles from the attic to the hotel. I mean, you could walk it if you didn't have to go over this overpass thing. So Trisha and her 4 ladies pile into the Mazda, and I get in the back, and it's a hatchback, so I could breathe the whole time. Don't do this. Don't do it. I wouldn't recommend it, but I did it because I just wanted to get back to the hotel. Anyway, so we're driving, and she's like, "Audrey," Trisha from the front seat, she's like, "Audrey, keep your head down." Keep your head down. And I was like, "Okay, I'm scrunched down." And I like take a picture of my view, and I sent it to my mom because I cut her off. I was like, "Mom, I got a ride. I gotta call you back." She's like, "Okay." So I was scrunched down in the back. And Trisha, you keep your car so clean. There was nothing back there. And and so I can tell we're like about to pull out of the parking lot. I can't really see anything except the sky, but I can tell we're about to pull out of the parking lot. She pulls out of the parking lot, and then I hear, "Oh my God, a cop!" Oh my God. And so we're fine. She doesn't get pulled over. Nobody knows I'm back there or anything. But every once in a while, like someone will yell from farther up in the car, like, "Audrey, are you okay?" I'm fine. Oh my goodness, that's so funny, but I'm like clutching my purchases. Finally get to the hotel, and she's like meandering through the parking lot because there's no parking. She finally finds a spot. She's like, I'm sorry, Audrey, it took longer to find a spot than I anticipated. So finally park, get out, go back to the hotel. It's fine. It was fine. I survived, and it made for a really funny story. But like later in the evening, I passed her in the big room, and she's like, "Hi, Audrey." And I was like, "Hi." Just why, you know? Oh, it was so funny. It's just another one of those things that made the weekend, right? So, and I thought about texting Ryan that same photo that I had sent my mom. Like, it's like clearly the back windshield, and you can see like a palm tree and sky, and that's it. But I was like, I don't even understand it. How would I explain to him in a text message what just happened? And then finally call my mom back. And she's like, oh, well, thank God you could breathe. I thought you were like in the back of a Miata. I was like, you can't fit in the trunk of a Miata. Yeah. Anyway, and then also on Saturday, I got to meet the cute Olive. If you are following her on Instagram, it's Vashti, and she works at the attic, and she wasn't really feeling well. I think she was dealing with something, but she popped in and I got to meet her, and it was so nice. But she knew what I looked like, and I didn't know what she looked like. So and I should have asked somebody what she looked like. But anyway, she found me with Brenda's help, I think. And we chatted for a bit before she ducked out and went home. But Vashti, it was so nice to meet you. And it's funny because, you know, I think about how you have, this can be a very one-sided relationship, right? Like I'll watch Kim Goldman, or I'll watch Katie Strachan, or I'll watch Grace, or whoever it is. And it's like, I know so much more about them than they ever will know about me, unless they watch my videos. But for like the regular average person who's not making any of these videos and is just watching, just consuming the content, yeah, they know way more about the people making the videos than the people in the videos know about anybody else. So like I did get to talk to Kim Goldman a couple times throughout the weekend, and she is nice as pie, and we just chatted. She had no idea who I was, but I knew, but it was like, you know, she was talking about this thing, so I was like, oh, I remember you talking about that on your video. Yeah, but like how weird is that, right? And but so Vashti was able to, you know, recognize me right off the bat and everything, but it was not the same the other way around. But then once we got started talking, it was so easy. And that's the great thing about this whole weekend, is whether someone is on Flosstube or not, you will just be in a room full of strangers, really, but they're not strangers for very long. I mean, you just talk about anything, everything, stitching, whatever. It's just so much fun. It's so much fun. So I had a great time. I knew that I would go and I'd get to shop at the attic, and isn't that great? And I would probably get to meet Jean, and then I'd get to bring some stuff home. But I don't think you can really understand until you go there how special it is and how nice everybody is. I was talking to my mom and even Ryan too, and I was like overusing that word nice, but it was so nice, and everybody was so nice, and it felt nice and easy and fun, and I did get to meet Jean, and I got to talk to her a couple times throughout the weekend, and each time, you know, she looked at me, and she seemed very interested in what I had to say, and she made me feel very special. She's got 150 people to entertain this weekend, plus regular visitors to the shop and stuff, and then she's got her employees to deal with and everything, and she made me feel so special, and I'm sure she did that for everybody else, and it's amazing. So if you can't go to a retreat, you can't go to the attic, it's okay. But if you do get to go, or you're just like on the fence, like what am I really going to get out of this that I can't get at home? That's what it is. It's the human connection. It's the human connection. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to show you the other things I was given and then the things that I bought. So I got floss drops, and then, oh, we got this is cute. This is an image from the Britomart sampler that was stitched by Katie Strachan. And then on the back, it says Sampler Symposium. So I got that. And then this, Kim Goldman gave me this because her friend, Miss Flossie, put out a new red sampler. So, Jersey Girl Stitch Toe. Teresa was there. And I had actually met her in October in Philadelphia at the Sweater Weather Retreat put on by Rebel Stitcher. She was there and everybody got a set of pins. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to take the red ones. But then when I got up there and was looking at the colors, I was like, oh, I really want those teal ones. And then Jean gifted us some strawberry themed items. So she gave us this pins by Minnie McBeans. And then we got this chart. And then we also got a strawberry waxer from Prim's on Greenway, but I already stuck it on something and it's not readily available here. So got that. And then she also, this now Sarah Milthorpe is now available. This was one of the charts presented by Nicola Parkman at the previous Sampler Symposium and is now available. It's also the Attic Sampler of the Month. So if you buy all the pieces, you get a discount. And then from Nicola, we got some greeting cards and then a coaster, which now I can use that instead of this old wooden one I have. Katie Strachan gave us some stickers. This was, I think, just to the people at our table, though. But that was very nice. Okay. And then what I bought. So I tried not to buy a ton of charts because I thought, well, I can get any chart anywhere, right? Except for the few things that were exclusive to the attic. I thought I want to look for things that get me really excited right there at the store. But if it's things that I'm already familiar with, have already seen, know that I can order somewhere else, I'm not really, if I don't need it today, I'm not going to get it. But one of the things I did find was this Reflet de Soie. Le Temps des Roses by Reflet de Soie. It is fully beaded. 7 colors of beads, even comes with a needle. And I already started it. I'm not stitching this outside border. I don't think it's necessary, and also the piece of fabric I selected is not big enough. So this was a piece of 37 count wild honey that I had. I purchased one of Katie Strachan's kits last year, and there were a couple pieces of fabric in it, and one is now a mystery to me. But this one I know is 37 count wild honey. And the pattern, it suggests 36 count. It says it's impossible to stitch this on 40 count, and 32 count would leave the beads too far apart. But I think 32 count would be fine. You would just have some space in there, but it would actually give the beads some room to breathe, because there are just a couple points that I had to leave a bead out because it just was not going to fit. But I love how this looks. And as you may recall, I'm not a big fan of purple, but I could not leave this kit there. I love it. So I made that progress in just a couple days. Stitched this rose, this bud, and a little bit of the greenery. So I've just got this to do, which is quite a bit. And I might put it aside for a little while and work on some other things, but it's very nice. This wild honey has a bit of a pink tone to it. And then I just used, I think it's 211 is the 103 color that I used, which is like a cream color, but I think it disappears pretty well on this. But you don't see the threads anyway on the front. Okay. One of the things I found was a weird chart by the Scarlet Letter. It's got a tiger on it. It's weird. But I saw it and I loved the border. So pretty. And then when I read a British colonial sampler, I thought, oh, I need that. Ryan is a history buff, and I know like some of the things that I have stitched or will stitch, I don't think he's really going to care about. But when I was telling him about this, because he was like, well, what'd you buy? When I was telling him about that, he was like, oh, that's weird. That's cool. And I think this is interesting. So this was probably stitched in either Africa or India, more likely the latter. And I would guess India as well, if it was a little British girl who had traveled with her father to India. But palm tree, giant bugs, tiger, beautiful border. And then what I did, it calls for DMC or Swadelge, but I wanted to stitch it with 103s, so I went through and figured out the colors that I would need, and that took a while, but I did. And because I have this beautiful piece of marbled hazelnut, 46 count by XJU, and I thought it would be gorgeous. And so with these colors, these are the 4 colors that I have of the ones that I figured I needed. But I think that will look awesome with this. Because initially you look at it and I'm thinking, oh, just the ticket by Tabby Cat, that would work. But I have some Tabby Cat left, but it's not big enough. And I don't think I'm gonna buy more. And I have this, and I love this. I really like the modeling on XJU's fabric. Speaking of fabric, I got a couple pieces of Legacy. This is 45 count Jersey Cream. Just nice, standard, warm sampler color. And then this is almost mauve. Yeah. This is 45 count Nightingale. Yeah. By Legacy as well. It's so pretty. When I was talking to Vashti, she had picked something up for me, but it was like a gray, which I like gray. I wear a lot of gray. I wear a lot of gray and black. But when I'm stitching, when I find, you know, this whole year that I've had to experience, I'm really drawn more to the warm stuff. And the gray that she picked up, it was a little more on the cooler side. And I was having a hard time envisioning something on that. And so I went, even though like this has a lot of color to it, this is very saturated, it's very warm. So, and this is really saturated. But I went to the attic on Friday. Somehow only bought 1 piece of linen and a few charts. And then I was telling Grace about, I was like, oh, I found this other piece of linen that I really liked, but I couldn't think of anything to put on it. And I thought, I don't want to just buy something when I don't have something in mind for it. It was so dark, I don't know what I'd put on it. And then she showed me pictures of something that she was stitching with light threads on like a charcoal fabric. And it was gorgeous. And then she showed this to me and I was like, oh my God, I could stitch the betrothed on it. She's like, yeah. So when I went back on Saturday, I made sure to get a piece of this. Now this is from Mason Linen. This is their sewing box line. So what they'll do is they'll have like a group of colors. And within that group, there is a light, a medium dark, and a dark. This is the dark of sewing box. Look at that. It's yummy. So I saw this lying on the table and I was like, oh, I need that. What am I gonna do with it? I was gonna get the 46. All they had left when I went back on Saturday was a 46 and a 40. And I thought about getting the 46, but I looked at the weave and I thought for something this dark, I'm just gonna get the 40. I can still use 103s on it if I really want to. But of course, Swadelge, Gloriana, whatever will work or stuff. And I had asked Jean about the betrothed and they were out of charts. And I was like, okay, I'll just call some other time when you're not inundated with people and questions and all sorts of things. So I don't think I need to put that back in there. So I love that color. I'm very excited. And I got, it's a half a yard. So I have a lot of stuff, or a lot of things, a lot of room to stitch things. Now the great thing about the attic is that it has a ton of models, old and new. And one of the models I saw on the wall, because I will say that this photo does not really do it justice. But I saw this on the wall and I thought that was so cute. Look, it's got sheep. It's got sheep. And I had been wandering around for a while. And in fact, on Friday, my first day at the attic, I had been wandering around for like an hour. And then I, come around again and Brenda's sitting at the table there BSing with some people. And she's like, there's nothing in your hand. And I was like, I don't know what to pick up. I'm so overwhelmed. And I can't just pick up everything I like. I'd spend $5,000. So this was one of the models that I saw on the wall. And after a while, I was kind of milling around and I ran into Katie again, and I was, you know, we're kind of in awe, right? She had been there a few times, but not many. And she asked me, she's like, so how's it going? Couldn't really say much. And so I asked her, I was like, well, you know, I see for a lot of the models, right, the charts are in the vicinity. I said, but how, you know, I don't want to ask one of the employees every time I have a question. So how would I go about finding things? Like, for example, this one. And she's like, well, maybe we can figure this out together. She's like, because I don't know. And she actually ultimately ended up texting Laura. But before she got the response from Laura, she realized who it must have been. And then she was able to find the Needle Made Designs section of charts, and she found this for me. So I was like, oh, Katie Strachan found me this chart. And I've got to stitch it. It's so pretty. I love this honeysuckle design, but the sheep, they just kill me. I love this. So it is charted for Gentle Art threads or DMC. So, but I don't know, it doesn't call for a ton of colors. So maybe this will be the thing that I get Gloriana. Yeah, because it's like I just need cast iron skillet, the black, and got a country redwood, endive, red plum. I think I can pick out some Glorianas. Maybe that's what I'll do. The Needle Workshop in Zionsville carries Gloriana. Persnickety. This is another Reflet de Soie. It's got a lot of birds, and guess what it's called? Marquoir aux 36 oiseaux. Sampler of 36 birds. It doesn't have any verse on it. It doesn't have any name or date or anything. It's just got a lot of birds. And these baskets with the checkered pattern in it, oh, I loved. Love it, love it, love it. I think I'd like to stitch the whole thing and then maybe stitch this guy here on his basket and make it into a pincushion or something. Like say make it into a pincushion. Have somebody else make it into a pincushion. I love it. And it's got a very, you know, it's got a warm tone to it, pinks and golds. I like pinks and golds. This one is another Scarlet Letter, and the model was there. The model was not there for this one, but I think the photo here probably does it justice. I mean, it made it attractive enough to me to purchase. This one, I don't think I would have purchased based on this photo alone, but the model was in the store and I loved it. Ryan and I had been to Europe several times, and as I have mentioned before, I'm not a religious person, but I love cathedrals, and I love learning about religious history, actually, and I think it's very interesting. I have seen so many cathedrals, and I told him, I said, I bought this chart. I don't remember which cathedral it reminds me of because I've seen so many. I think it reminds me of the one in Le Mans, but now I think maybe it's the one in Chartres that I'm thinking of. I don't remember. Somewhere in France. But just a small little saying up here, a beautiful border, and then this big cathedral here. The model was very impressive. It wasn't a huge piece. Let me give you the stitch count. 296 by 341. So it's sizable, but it's not, again, it's not Dutch Beauty, right? The only thing that I didn't like about it was that this pink here, this pink that runs throughout the border and I think is used a little bit in here, was really light and yet really bright, and I didn't like it. So I think when I get to that pink, I'm going to choose a more subtle substitute. Yeah, and I think I will like it much better, because when I was looking at the model, I saw the cathedral and I was like, oh, that's gorgeous. And then my eyes saw the rest of it and I thought, oh, it's like peach, really, really bright peach. That's what it was. It just wasn't doing it for me. But I loved the pattern, and I thought the border was really interesting, and the two trees. And you'll see there's a glare on this because this is actually like a photo on it. So I got that. And then this I had seen on Kim Goldman's wall. And Ryan has seen it on Kim Goldman's wall in a video as well, because I was working on Carmel that has a chicken on it. He's like, so what are you working on today? And I showed him and I said, I bought it because it has a chicken on it. And then like the next day I was watching Kim's video and he was like, do you have that one? It's got a bird on it and it's red. I was like, it's not the same thing. There are a lot of red ones with birds. So when I saw this pattern at the attic, I was like, oh my God, I have to get it. I do like it anyway. I like the, I should have taken it out of the plastic. Oh, there we go. I like the different alphabets. And I like those birds. It's got an anchor on it. Why? But if you watch any of Kim's videos, at least the latest one, it's like right here in her video. This was in the clearance section. It's a bumblebee and it's just Nan. I have made one of these little things before. I made a bunny rabbit and gave it to my mom. It was very quick to stitch. Okay, now when I was going to the attic, I thought, you know, I had a budget in mind of how much I shouldn't spend more than. But I thought, I'm not going to go with any shopping list or anything. There were a couple Gloriana silks that I needed to buy. I got those. That's, you know, $16 or whatever. It's no big deal. I thought, but I'm going to get there. And there is going to be some model of something and it's going to hit me like a ton of bricks. And I will have to get that. And it happened. It did. And it was right by the door, but I didn't even notice it until hours later. And it was, look how thick it is. The Berlin Woolwork Sampler by the Needles Praise. This is 9 parts, 9 different charts, and each part is a section of this. Yeah, it calls for either Appleton wool, DMC, or NPI silk. Those are your options as charted. But, and I looked this up, and assuming that the information I found is correct, it takes more than 120 colors. Yes. So, I'm not going to be stitching this anytime soon. Because having stitched with silk, I like stitching with silk. And for something like this, that we'll call a legacy piece, hopefully this will be a thing that hangs around for a few generations if I actually finish it. I would like to have stitched it in silk. I don't want to use wool. I've never worked with wool before, but I would like to. I would like to try needlepoint. But for something like this, you know, I'm already comfortable with linen and silk, so that's what I want to use. So I thought, instead of buying so many NPIs that I won't necessarily use for anything else, well, why don't I try to come up with a 103 conversion? Guess what? That's a pain in the butt. And there doesn't seem to be there doesn't seem to be an easy to use, there doesn't seem to exist a chart that easily translates NPI into 103. So I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, please give me this information. But I'm very happy to have this set of charts. The first thing I saw was this dog. And that's the thing, this picture does not do it justice. It's printed on an 8.5 by 11 and it's tiny. You don't get to see the stitches. I did take photos of the model, so I will insert them here. But it was the dog and then this part here with the pinwheel of oak leaves I loved, and all these different patterns. It's just gorgeous. It was beautiful. Beautiful. So this came home with me. And I was kind of carrying it around going, I don't need this, I don't need it. It's 9 charts times $100. And I'm not even going to stitch it anytime soon. But everything that I have right now that I've accumulated over the last 12 months since I started stitching on linen, I could finish it all in a couple years. I could. I don't have so much that it's absolutely out of control. Maybe not a couple years. Maybe we'd say like 3 years I could finish it all, because I do now have a lot of hat samplers. But this, I thought, if this is just going to be one of those things that kind of sits in my stash for a while until I get around to it, that's okay. If I don't start this until I'm in my 40s, that's okay. And there was another woman who was at the shop, and she, I guess, said that her friend started it. And what her friend did was she just bought the NPIs for the first section. She stitched that, and then she waited a while and got the additional NPIs to stitch the next section, because there is some carryover. You know, you have to initially buy 30-some colors, but then for, excuse me, for the next section, you don't have to buy 30 more. You buy like 10 or 12 more. Excuse me. So, that is what I got. So I did okay. I mean, I dropped some money, but I had a ton of fun. I came home with a lot of stuff. Now my throat's giving out. So I think it's time to wrap up this video. But I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank Ryan for working and sending me to the attic and saying, okay, honey, just go. He's very understanding and generous, and he just wants me to be happy, and it's wonderful and amazing. But the people that I met, the people that I have been able to connect with, it's been wonderful, and I'm very thankful. And whether you, I'm so sorry, I'm not choking up, my throat is giving out. But if you watch my videos, I'm very thankful. If you comment, if you don't comment, whatever, if you just get some enjoyment out of this, I'm very thankful. I'm glad that I can bring joy to somebody. I mean, Vashti was very excited to meet me, so I'm making her happy. It's good. And I do have fun doing this, and I hope you guys have fun watching it. But if you want to learn more about Sampler Symposium, register to receive the newsletter on their website, and then you'll be notified you'll get the information before registration opens for an upcoming event. And then go around on Flosstube, and there are plenty of other people who went to the attic. Stitch Rhodey, I got to hang out with her during breakfast. She's fun. Susan Stanley, and then Brenda and Laura, when they do their next video, Brenda will be talking all about it, I'm sure. I was telling Brenda, I said, yeah, and Laura's going to spend half the video lamenting that she didn't go. But then when Katie Strachan puts out her next video, she should be talking about it as well. And I'm sure that everybody will have their own stories, but I'm sure everybody will have positive things to say. So if you are on the fence about going to an attic retreat, or any retreat really, consider it. Put it on your bucket list, I think. But I will be going to the Hobby House Great British Sampler Weekend Comes to America in October. So if you are going to that, let me know, and we will meet up. But I hope you guys enjoy this video. I had a lot of fun. I can't believe I talked again for another hour and a quarter. But I will talk to you again in, I think it will be 3 weeks. Should be 3 weeks, barring, some unforeseen events. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Happy stitching.